Good morning. Thank you for joining us as we played some of our General Assembly music that we were experiencing this past week in Baltimore with other 3,000 or so UUs. And we have some great music, live music that is coming for you in this service as well. So it won't just be the video. But just wanted to give you a taste of some of the music that we enjoyed. There was lots of dancing, awesome singers, as you could see there. So just wanted to share some of that with you this morning for our gathering music and bring some of that GA energy here. So welcome to the Unitarian Church of Los Alamos. My name is the Reverend Tina DeYoe, and I use she, her pronouns. Whoever you are, whomever you love, whatever your image of the holy, wherever you are on your life's journey, you are welcome here. If this is your first time with us, we would love to get to know you. Please sign our guest sign-in book in the foyer. And you can also speak with our greeter, Mike Begnaud, and Rebecca Howard, who's out there, right there, who's the chair of our membership committee, or myself for more information about our church. And if you're joining us online, hello, please sign our virtual guest book. The link is located in the notes below the video, and you can also submit a virtual joy or sorrow to be read the next week in our service. To learn about all of our spiritual enrichment programs for all ages, please feel free to talk to Terra Louise, our Director of Lifespan Spiritual Enrichment, and/or Elizabeth Portillos, our Lifespan Spiritual Enrichment teacher and assistant. You can also check the table in the foyer for more information about our spiritual enrichment programming. And during the summer, there is less programming, but programs will ramp up in the fall. So for kids here in our service, we have our activity table, and our youth, right? Yeah, there you go. And please use whisper voices, y'all, to talk at this table. Kids can also stay seated with their parents, and parents and kids can sit in our library room to hear the service. And we also have a nursery for younger kiddos, and Sarah Hamoud would be happy to check your young kiddos in. We also have our candles of community area over here and in the back. And you are invited to come up during the first hymn or now or any time before the prayer time to light a candle. And if you would also like to, you are welcome to write a joy or sorrow in the book to be read aloud. So please go ahead and silence your cell phones this morning as we begin our worship service together. And you are now invited to greet your neighbor by introducing yourself, and if you'd rather just wave, that's okay too, and not shake hands. So introduce yourself to folks. If you see new folks, introduce yourself, and I will call us back with a chime. Terra. Hey, Terra.
Good morning, beloved. I'm Terra, and I'm the Director of Lifespan Spiritual Enrichment. And today we just have a couple announcements. So one is the craft group will be meeting. The next meetup will be today. So after the service, 12 to 3. I'm so excited about this group taking advantage of our newly designed room. And then we will have tea time with Rev Tina on Wednesday. I will not be here, so I'll miss you all. And then all are welcome for a vigil of interfaith vigil on Wednesday, July 2nd at 7 p.m. And that will be at Ashley Pond. And then a couple more things is that on July 4th, there will be a UU meeting at the China Palace for dinner before the fireworks and show. And then also on Thursday, El Grupo, the Spanish conversation group, will be meeting in probably the Creed room. So thank you.
I just wanted to highlight this vigil that we're doing on July 2nd at 7 p.m. at Ashley Pond. I have been collaborating with the Interfaith Ministerial Alliance to put on this vigil together and welcome for immigrants, asylum seekers, and refugees. So please join us at Ashley Pond this week on Wednesday at 7. We come together as a community every Sunday for an hour to pause and worship together. Worship creates connections within, among, and beyond us, calling us to live with wisdom and calling us to be our better selves. So today, those who have attended our National UU General Assembly will be giving their reflections of this conference. We gathered with over 3,000 UUs this past week, and it reminded me that our faith is a living faith that defies authoritarianism and reaffirms our covenant and commitment to democracy and freedom. Our UU faith proudly proclaims that transgender lives are sacred. Denying trans health care is a violation of basic rights and human dignity. Trans youth deserve care, safety, and support without exception. Our UU faith also proclaims loudly that immigrants, refugees, asylum seekers, all of these people have inherent worth and dignity and basic human rights. Our faith states loudly that we reject all violations of the human rights and dignity of immigrants, refugees, and asylum seekers. And our faith also states in our UUA Statement of Conscience on Creating Peace that we repudiate aggressive and preventative wars, the disproportionate use of force, covert wars, and targeting that includes a high risk to civilians. We affirm our responsibility to speak truth to power, especially when unjust power is exercised by our own nation. Justice is one of our UU shared values, and it is indeed our work in the world. I like to say that working towards justice for all people is one of my spiritual practices, and maybe some of y'all's too. All of these justice proclamations I just made are part of our UUA justice statements that have been voted on by National General Assemblies throughout the years. We are indeed a people of justice, and we will continue to fight for justice for all. We are also continuing to celebrate the month of LGBTQ+ pride here in our church. We lift up all of the joy, struggle, righteous rage, and sorrow that is present in the continued fight for basic human rights, especially for our trans siblings. On June 26th, we celebrated Marriage Equality Day and will commit to continued action to protect marriage equality for all people, no matter your orientation. So we come together today as a community who cares for one another, a community who protects and supports each other in the joyous times and in the dark and difficult times. So William is going to come up now, and we're going to light our flaming chalice, which is a symbol that represents care, protection, support, resistance, perseverance, and light in the darkness. So let us now stand in body and or spirit and sing our opening hymn, number 347, Gather the Spirit. Please remain standing and join in saying our affirmation. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve life in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow in harmony. Thus do we covenant with each and with all. Please be seated. Now I would like to ask all of the young and young at heart to come up to the young worshipers space on the carpet for our time for all ages. Candles have been lit today for the family of those who are missing and for the searchers out looking for them. Celebrating the removal of public land sales from the Senate bill. Woo, yay, awesome. This is what we demonstrated for. Holding all those who knew, loved, and were touched by the life of Jen Bartram, who passed in our community. A very awesome person who was an interfaith chaplain in many capacities here in our community, led our grief groups here in town, and many of you I know knew her, and with her tragic passing, we lift up her family and the whole community at this loss. For family and friends who are struggling, we lift up all of these things, spoken, unspoken, those that remain in the quiet of our hearts this morning in this space. Join with me in a time of meditation. Ground yourself on our beautiful Mother Earth. She can hold you. She can hold all of your emotions. It is hard to be still right now. It is hard not to scream in anger. It is hard not to cry. It is hard to not carry the weight of the world on top of the weight that each of us carries in our daily lives. If you do need to scream in anger, nature and our Mother Earth can handle your screams. So feel free to go outside and yell if needed. And if you do need to cry, our Mother Earth can take your tears and transform them into life. So breathe with me now. Breathe in all that is giving you life and joy right now. And breathe out all that might be weighing on you. Breathe in and breathe out. Let us also be reminded that there is so much joy that exists in the world. Joy is indeed resistance. So embrace your joy, your laughter, and your happiness as much as you can. Do not let the world take away your joy. There is beauty and love all around, and it is crucial that we remind ourselves of this truth every day. We are indeed lucky to be living on our blue boat home or in our orange vegetable home if you are a carrot. May we continue to hold and become more aware of the wide array of emotions we may be experiencing in life, knowing that if we ground ourselves on our Mother Earth, she can indeed hold us and hold all of our emotional ups and downs. And let us now breathe in again all that is giving you life, and breathe out all that might be weighing you down. May we be ever reminded that we are surrounded by a community of care here in our church. Amen. thank you all. That was awesome. So I'm going to be sharing with you. John Faucett is going to be sharing with us. And Elizabeth Portillos and Terra are all going to be sharing this morning on reflections from our General Assembly experience. So these are some of my GA takeaways for you all. So it was great having 7 of us from the church at GA together. Kelly Shea also was there and had a great first GA and loved it. She wanted me to share that with you all today as well. William got to be in the UU Kids Camp, which you heard about earlier. Terra and Elizabeth attended GA and also attended the Liberal Religious Educators Professional Days, and you will also hear more from them. And John is going to speak about a highlight from his experience. And Mimi sang in the GA choir, which some of you saw in our gathering music. I also attended my minister professional days, and those of us who were delegates voted on actions of immediate witness that included, there were 3 of them: faithful defiance of authoritarianism, reaffirming our covenants for democracy and freedom. We declare and affirm immigrants are people who have inherent worth and inalienable rights. And 3, funding global LGBTQIA plus freedom amid crisis, a call for immediate action and solidarity. So those are some of the actions of immediate witness that we passed. This is us at dinner one night. We went out to dinner. It was great. And these actions that I just mentioned that are passed each year at our General Assembly are statements about significant action, events, or developments in the world that necessitates immediate engagement and action among UU congregations and affiliated groups. They are the statements that are rooted in our faith and in our values. Thus, these statements can hold up in court as part of our faith's religious freedom. And now back to my GA takeaways. It was great having 7 of us from church at GA. So if you're interested in going the next time, please let me know or talk to one of us about our experience. We'd love for more folks to go. Baltimore lump crab cakes are the best. Connection and care are what make UU communities strong. And being radically welcoming is something we can all do here in our church community. And re-energizing each other for the persistence of the resistance is important work. So I'm not going to say much about the lump crab cakes other than Elizabeth and I definitely had to go back to Lexington Market to have 2 of our lunches be the yummy melt-in-your-mouth crab cakes. And then Terra and William and I and Elizabeth all ate blue crab later, too. I was reminded also at this GA that connection and care are what make our UU communities strong. So how are we building a community of care here in our church together? Well, we definitely have been doing a lot of this work this year. Our potlucks have been great success of being able to connect with one another over food. Our small group ministry circles and knife and fork dinners have been a way that folks have connected deeper with one another. And if you're interested in joining either of those groups in the fall, they will start back up, so look for the announcements about those. We have connections for our kids and youth through various classes, meetups, events, and field trips. Hopefully this year we will be planning a district UU YouthCon as well, so stay tuned. And we have our coffee conversation cards that Anna Delane made for us so that you can sit down with folks you might not know and start a conversation with them. Our caring network is wonderful and will visit you, create meal trains when people are in need, or visit you in the hospital. They will send you cards, they will give you rides when needed, and so much more. And we just did our annual delivery of flowers to homebound folks in our congregation. So if you're someone who wants to get involved with a caring network, that's a good way for connection and care work here. The other way that we have fostered care and connection this year is through the creation of our congregational covenant. Bill just brought in a canvas of our covenant. You can see it out in the foyer. We will be putting that up here in our church. And there are also covenant printouts that you can take with you. So we are fortunate to be in a community with many differing beliefs. And what holds us together as a community of care are our similar values. We are a values-based community. We are part of our community that encourages a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. And we have now passed this congregational covenant, a value statement, which will help us live into relationships with one another in a deeper way. If you want a copy of our covenant, again, you can please take one here, and there are printouts in the foyer. So what are the ways that we can expand connection and care here in our community? You might have ideas, and if you do, we definitely want to know those ideas. So come talk to any of us or other church staff and leaders about your ideas. So I was also reminded at GA that being radically welcoming is something we can all do here in our church community. Think of greeting people here in our church community like you would do for folks coming to your home. Think of church like your home. How do you want people to feel when they get here? We definitely want people to feel valued, accepted, worth knowing, cared for, special, and oriented. So how can we all help orient folks in our community? Maybe it is by showing them where they can get information about our church and activities. Maybe it's by showing people with young kiddos where our nursery is. And maybe it's showing people where they can get coffee on Sunday. Maybe it is getting folks to get signed up to be on our announcements and mailing lists. So think about how you can help orient people here in our church and make them feel like they're at home. John, Terra, and myself attended a great workshop on membership given by a church that had increased their membership significantly. There were many takeaways from that workshop. One of them was as basic as how we greet people here in our community. So one way to greet folks is to say, I don't think I've met you before. My name's Tina. You can also ask, is this your first time here? Another way to introduce yourself to someone new is by asking, have we met? I'm Tina. Never ask, are you new? Because that's a weird question for people to answer. People might be thinking, well, I'm new to this church, but not you. I've come here for a month. Does that still make me new? This question puts people in an awkward place. So instead, ask the question, have we met before? And then introduce yourself. If they respond that this is their first time, then you can help orient them. We can be a radically welcoming congregation by making people feel included. To be radically welcoming, we have to create a community where people feel a sense of belonging and where people feel safe and comfortable being their authentic selves. This is something we can all do. Yeah? Yes? Yeah? Maybe? Yeah? Woo! So the last thing that I was reminded of at GA was that we can work on re-energizing one another for the persistence of the resistance. Before GA, I was feeling the heaviness and the weight of the world, as many of us are right now. I was depressed, sad, angry. However, I realized at GA that we are indeed not alone in our struggles, whether they are on a national or global scale, or those struggles of daily life that we go through. We are indeed not alone. If you are struggling, please talk to someone. You can talk to me or another church member or a therapist or a friend or a family member or a caring network. But please remember, you do not have to go it alone. I was reminded of this very fact when I saw faces of colleagues and other UUs who I hadn't seen in years. It was good to give and receive hugs. I did a lot of hugging. They even ask you on your name tag, and you have a green, yellow, or red that you can put for consent of green is, yes, I want hugs, and yellow is more cautious, and red is like, please ask first. I know I had a green. William, you had 2 greens, I think. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and when the horrific news of the Schermetti case came out while we were there, a colleague could see that I was upset and asked if they could give me a hug. At GA, I attended a trans ancestry, joy, struggle, and resistance workshop led by Alex Capitan. And Elizabeth, you attended that one as well, I think. Yeah. Alex Capitan is a trans UU who leads the UU Transforming Hearts Collective, a collective that supports spaces for LGBTQ+ people to access resilience, healing, and spirituality. This collective also provides resources for faith communities and other groups for the work of radical inclusion and culture shift. They have an amazing workshop online on trans inclusion in congregations that I took to become a UU minister, and that we will be doing here in the fall, woo, with the social justice team. So during this workshop at GA, Alex said one way that allies can respond to their trans siblings right now is by buying them a burrito. Can I buy you a burrito? Like, literally, he said this. It's just a way to care, right? So I love that. The burrito of care, the quiche of caring. Providing food to people struggling under this authoritarian regime, especially those of marginalized identities, can be the persistence that is needed for them to keep going. I always tell Eric, my partner, you do not have to be out there on the front lines all the time, but if you're able to help feed those out on the front lines, that's a vital job too. So burritos for the persistence of the resistance for everyone. How about it? Are we down? Yes. Awesome. Another important takeaway about our resistance work in this time is that cultivating your joy and creativity is also resistance. Do not let them take away your joy. Your joy is what is going to keep you going in these unprecedented times. And we hold it all. We hold joy, we hold struggle, we hold pain, and we hold righteous rage. All of these emotions are sacred and good. Throughout GA, we were encouraged over and over again to continue to live out our shared values of, and they're over here on that if you haven't memorized them yet, of love, justice, equity, transformation, interdependence, pluralism, and generosity. If we truly live out these values, we will be making the world we live in a better place for all. Our Unitarian ancestor and theologian Theodore Parker said, and Martin Luther King Jr. requoted him later, "The moral arc of the universe is long, but it bends toward justice." I was reminded at GA that we are indeed the arc benders. We are the energy shifters. We are the mischief makers. We as UUs can be prophetic, not partisan, in our UU activism. We can stand up for our religious freedom and our shared values. We can stand up against authoritarian regimes that act against our values and call out those regimes when they do. We are allowed to do this because our religious freedom is on a foundation of shared values. We are a people of faith and conscience. We can speak our truth in love, and we can persist in the resistance together. May we continue to be a community of care, practicing radical welcome, and re-energizing each other to persist and resist. Now John is going to come up here.
Good morning. The Ware Lecture has been given at the Unitarian and Unitarian Universalist General Assemblies almost every year since 1922. Often the speaker has been a prominent, well-known person, such as Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. or Kurt Vonnegut Jr. This year's lecture was given by Amara Jones and was surprisingly profound and moving. She spoke compellingly without notes for an hour and clearly knew the subject. Here's my brief summary. Amara polled the audience on when they first began thinking about trans people, most clustered around 10 years ago. That's no accident, as that is when the Heritage Foundation, a conservative think tank, began introducing the topic to the country. They specifically chose trans people as the issue was unfamiliar to most of the population and the victims of the attack are small in number, less than 1%. Most importantly, many people are uncomfortable with the idea that one's gender might not match up with one's body. Discomfort is not just found in most conservatives and in evangelicals, but also in many centrists, moderate liberals, radical feminists, and others. One of the first propaganda waves used pseudoscientific articles in recognized journals and moved on to major newspapers, podcasts, and so on. The ripples became a sea change. The issue united the conservatives enough and enough of the less conservative people that the elections based on anti-trans messages could then win elections. And it has worked so well that our country is now under the control of the white Christian nationalists. It doesn't matter that most voters now oppose much of what is going on. It's almost too late to stop the national takeover. The trans issue is not just identity politics. It is the wedge that has broken the nation. The Democratic Party has failed to see this tsunami and has made no effort to oppose it, in last year's elections. The biggest ad buy in the 2024 election season was a huge campaign just before November, centered on the trans issue. It is now clear that the goal is the dehumanization of trans people. Once that is complete, anything, no matter how horrible, can happen. If they succeed, then others of us will be in their sights. Ultimately, the Christian nationalists truly believe that purifying the nation will lead to the return of Christ on earth. That's not just a casual belief, but rather one that they are actually grounded in. If we are to save democracy, we must protect trans people from this menacing movement, as well as many other groups who are at risk, including ourselves. Standing up for trans people will save lives, not only theirs, but everyone else's too. Of course, her talk got many instances of applause, a standing ovation in the middle, and a well-deserved long one at the end. Amara said that one good thing is all of us UUs and other like-minded people willing to oppose the threat. Still, her talk has left me rather unsettled. We'll need to work together for a better outcome and to give each other hope. Thanks.
Hi, my name is Elizabeth Portillos, and I use she, her pronouns. This was my first time at GA, and it was super fun. There were so many choices to choose from regarding what to attend and what to watch, and I found some really enriching sessions, one which caused me to cry. They had set several chaplains around the room to help people who needed support, and afterwards, I went to one, a chaplain from Pennsylvania who just let me hug her and cry. And then I expressed out loud my worries about how this might affect my family. I found it especially fun that I got to spend time with other local UUs who went, getting to meet them and maybe just waving hi between sessions. I met so many people, but only a very small fraction of all the people who attended from around the country. Since 2 alarming news events happened during the week we were there, we got to react to them together and be in solidarity together. My biggest takeaway from the week is that we are not alone and that there are so many other people and groups of people in this country who have similar values and similar cares. And we can not only help each other emotionally, but stand up together to oppose these things that are happening, which go against our UU values.
I love hearing all of this. Beloveds, after General Assembly, William and I stayed an extra day in Baltimore, which is lovingly referred to as Charm City. In the morning, we met a local Unitarian named Stacy who wanted to give tours. She took us all over, and we got to see the pagoda at the top of Patterson Park, the enchanting Peabody Library. And also, she pointed out buildings that were once robust and beautiful that are now crumbling with trees growing through them. She shared how Baltimore has a rap of poverty and crime, yet she has found it to be uniquely friendly, filled with people gathered on their stoops, sharing food and conversation on trains. Her knee was in a brace from an injury, pushing Fifi, a 15-foot, 1,500-pound pink poodle in Baltimore's kinetic sculpture race. Though she has only lived there for the last 3 years, she burst into tears several times with pride and reverence for her city. I admit, between her tour and visiting the harbor, the farmers market, the Reginald Lewis Museum, viewing murals, and attending an Orioles game, I began to fall in love with Baltimore too. It was great to meet Stacy and people from Concord, Providence, Las Cruces, Fort Collins, Vermont, Austin, Dallas, people from a church near where my family lives in Surprise, Arizona, and the minister who just left her post at my Aunt Susan's church in Hillsboro, Oregon, and someone from Reverend John's church in Reading. I also met the head of the Unitarian movement in the United Kingdom, the people I'd be working with at the camp in Idaho in August, and a friend I made at the Mosaic Conference who is now the commissioned lay minister of her church in Los Angeles. We went to the baseball game with someone who knew my stepmom Peggy at the Unitarian Church in Honolulu. And we got to meet up with my Aunt Debbie, who attends in Silver Spring, Maryland. Though we went across the country to meet other Unitarians, some of my favorite times were with us. Elizabeth and Tina and I bonded in the spirals of the depths of the aquarium, chatting in our hotel room and cracking open crab shells with wooden mallets. As far as General Assembly conference goes, though I got to meet people, I often longed for deeper connections and more avenues for creating them. The hybrid model was often confusing. I wanted to take more advantage of the power of this in-person gathering and struggled with how much happened in fluorescent lit rooms with no windows. A lot of classes I wanted to attend turned out to be online only, which wasn't what I'd come for. That said, I still got to learn about many different organizations within and connections to our movement, including Church of the Larger Fellowship, which largely serves those in prisons, pagan groups, earth activists, international UUs, thriving youth groups, one group brought 18 kids, and more. I got to attend workshops and talks on climate justice action, trans politics, how we need our mischief makers like Krishna and Robin Hood, what youth would like to see happening, how listening and building trust led to a drag queen nativity that is now an annual event in the Fort Collins, Colorado, and on radical welcoming from the church that my pop's parents attended in Annapolis. They have seen their membership rise 43% in the last 3 years. Everything I attended echoed the same common threads of how we see each other, genuinely care about each other, about knowing each other's stories, how we meet with one another, and even how we run meetings. Though these things seem peripheral, they are at the core of what we do, of everything we do. The work lies in the details. Every one of us has a role in being welcoming. The day after I came back, Teresa Cull hosted our committee council meeting in the fellowship hall. It was nice to be back in our space. This was the last meeting led by Teresa before she will move into the role of church board president. She brought food for us to enjoy. At the start, Tina suggested we check in by sharing a rose, bud, and thorn in our lives. We then shared committee reports and got up and got to write our visions for the coming year, laid out on different tables on big sheets of paper. It was my favorite meeting since I started working here. We had food. We all brought who we were and shared about what we were going through. We listened and ended with something tactile, active, and interactive. I left feeling very inspired, and I'm excited about all of our plans, and most of all, about how we can make our meetings, our greetings, and our congregation authentically engaged and radically welcoming. Thank you.
Let us now stand in body and or spirit to sing our beloved hymn, Blue Boat Home. Let us go out today practicing radical welcome in our lives and here with one another as well. And now let us join hands and sing our closing song, The Way.